Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. So the nerfs have arrived. Well, not exactly. The announcement that happened a few days ago has now been announced, but we don't exactly know when the changes are going through. But we know what the changes will be, so we can talk about those and kind of see what the future of Hearthstone will look like. So, to top it off, they did nerf Druid. We got an Innervate nerf. So Innervate, instead of giving 2 mana, gives 1 mana. It's basically in line with Counterfeit Coin, which sees play in extremely aggressive decks or Auctioneer combo decks. Now, while Jade Druid does use Auctioneer to cycle Jade Idols, I feel it is a little bit weak, so I don't think Innervate will make many Druid lists. It's a bit hard to say, but it looks to me as if Innervate is pretty dead outside of very specific combo decks, and even then I think it's pretty unlikely we will see use from the card. So Innervate is ripped, and yeah, that's pretty big deal, I guess. Possibly without Innervate, Druid will lose a lot more to aggro decks, and possibly be a bit more difficult to just overrun tempo against other control decks. But wait, there's more. Fiery War Axe nerf. Oh, okay, so one of those aggro decks that beats Druid, Pirate Warrior, is, I would say, a lot worse, actually. Pirate Warrior relied on the Insano opener. Now, I think Pirate Warrior is still going to be playable, but I think it's going to be a lot fewer Druids, especially because if Pirate Warrior didn't get like a really good opening hand, it could actually lose to Druid, and Fiery War Axe being 3 mana. I mean, this is worse than King's Blade. This is worse. We had the best weapon in the game become one of the worst weapons in the game. So, yes, it's only an increased mana cost by 1, but, you have to really take into consideration that cards generally are pretty carefully balanced, and increasing what is really the cost of a card by 50%, how you have to look at it. Well, rip in peace, Fiery War Axe. Might see some play because Warriors don't really have any other good weapons in the early game, but it is a pretty big hit not only to Pirate Warrior, but also to Warriors that a lot of us like to play that haven't been able to play for a while. Control Warrior. Yeah, that's probably gonna hit that class really hard as well. So that's a bit of a mixed bag there. I'm not too sure I like that nerf. I think they could nerf Pirate Warrior by, nerfing Pirates. Yeah, why didn't they do that? Okay, so then we have Hex. Alright, so they mentioned that the reason they nerfed Hex is because they want to remove silence removal from the game. And from what we've seen in this expansion, they've put in some ridiculously powerful late game cards. So my assumption is the reason they're nerfing Hex is so in the next expansion we're going to see more super crazy broken late game cards, and that's a new direction for Hearthstone, and I understand that, but right now I think it's kind of in bad taste because, well, there's only one shaman deck right now. It's kind of like an aggro / token shaman that's being played. It's considered like tier 3-ish, and it doesn't have Hex in the deck. Yeah, alright, I guess. I guess I won't be trying control shaman decks for a while longer, I suppose. I don't know. With the nerf to a lot of the aggro decks, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe Hex actually will be better because there's going to be more control decks being played. But yeah, again, it does seem a bit strange. Then we have Murloc War Leader. This is a change I kind of have to agree with. It was really, really ridiculous how Murlocs would snowball crazy hard, and that 1 health made so much of a difference. You couldn't actually Pyro Equality Murlocs, for instance, because of this card. It was that, you'd play the 1-drop Murloc, 2-drop Murloc, and then you'd buff the health in addition to the attack. So not only would you trade up, but your Murlocs would stay alive for the following turn when they get buffed again. So this nerf is actually a pretty big deal to Murlocs, and again, I don't really like getting my ass steamrolled by Murloc decks. So I like the change on that side, but part that I don't like the change is I also really don't like Jade Druids. So the problem with that is, once again, a few of the decks that actually did beat Jade Druid were aggressive Murloc decks. And it seems like we have another deck that beat Jade Druid on the chopping block. And yeah, It's looking pretty good for Druid. Well, they got another card nerfed. They got Spreading Plague nerfed. Spreading Plague is now 6 mana instead of 5, and when the Innervate nerf, it makes it a lot harder to just steamroll the early game against an aggro deck that just floods the board. So it seems like those are about in balance, where, we nerfed most of the decks that do well against Jades, and we nerfed Jade's ability to counter those decks. So it seems like those aggro decks will still be about as good against Jades, but the problem with that is, with those decks not being very good against the other classes either, well, it's kind of difficult to see if that actually matters. What I mean is, yeah, Jade Druid got worse, the aggro decks got worse, but I don't think Jade Druid is going to have a problem beating all the other decks. Now, there's a flip side to that. Because a lot of the aggro decks that we've been playing in are nerfed, well, it seems like some of the other control decks might be a bit more popular, and with Druids not having Innervate, you're going to have a lot fewer games where you just instant lose against Jade Druid. So, things like Control Priest and those type of decks that were already like tier 2, I think those are going to be in line with Jade Druid. But the problem there is, a lot of people play ladder for consistency, a lot of people play ladder for how quickly they can run these games, and a lot of the other control decks are a lot slower played, and a lot of the other decks rely a lot more on RNG. Like, one of the first decks that I played in this expansion was a lot of fun to play, like the high roll Big Priest. But after like 10 or 15 games, you realize just like the RNG swings really dictate the outcome in a really big way, and your control over the outcome of the game is not very much. So, it's not that fun to play those decks in the long run. So basically what I'm saying is, it's a bit of a mixed bag. We're definitely going to still see Jade Druids on ladder, and I don't think in small quantities. They're going to be more beatable, and I think we'll see more of the other control decks as well. But I don't know if this is going to do it for some people. I think when people are really frustrated at a specific deck, they're frustrated because they're playing like 80% of the time in certain ranks against that deck, and they just don't want that experience. I think these changes, while they put more balance into the game, there's going to be more of a variety of decks, I don't think it's going to be that much better. So it is a bit difficult to say. On my end, I think I will have a bit more fun in ladder because the extremely oppressive aggro decks will be significantly worse, actually. So, who knows? There might be some light at the end of this, but I've seen the community reception, and I can't really disagree with it. I think there's a strong chance, not a certainty, we don't know how this is going to play out, but a strong chance that Jade Druid will be on its own tier, beating every single other deck and filling up the ladder in the 60% range as we've seen so far in this expansion. And that would really suck, but that's not a certainty, and I await any change. I just hope that these changes happen soon, and I hope we're all wrong about Jade Druid conquering the world of Hearthstone. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.